All right. We're coming up on 5 years for the anniversary of this event. It happened July 19th, 2017. I was working as a longshoreman up by Seattle, Washington, and we're working on this barge that we've been working all week, loading these 50-ton plus pilings that were getting ready to head up north to Alaska. And we were loading another barge in the morning, and we had returned just from lunch, and this barge was brought back up to be restarted loading up the last couple levels. We already had 4 levels of these pilings on the barge. So they're 4 foot in diameter by themselves, plus dunnage, and we're loading the 5th levels on there. And we're unfortunately down 2 bodies for the day. So my job was on the shore side was to rig one of these pilings up to the crane. The crane would swing it around, and my job was to skip myself like a rock to help control how it was being led around. And then I would help. They would release it when they got over the stack, and then lower it down, and then swing around, and I would just go back to where I was. But today, they called me up to the stack after I already done my job. I had to redo their part, and so I got up on top of the stack, climbed up the ladder, got up there, lowered it down. And as I was walking to the end, I just felt weird. I had to look at my watch. And I said, okay, it's 1 o'clock. So I just got onto this steel ladder. And you ever been on the end of a table? And some of you might have been at like a Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas time, and all of a sudden you might have been on the edge of the table and someone hits the table and you get pushed off. Well, that's what happened to me. Either another barge, or a tugboat struck the barge that I was on, as I had just my feet in some of the top rungs of this ladder. So I'm up about 20 plus feet up. And then the steel ladder and I leave the stack.
Wow.
And like you stand there vertically for a second, and then they talk about where your world swirls down. Yeah, it felt like slow motion reaching out, and this felt like it lasted a minute or two, me trying to hold on or grasp in air, and then to feel my hands slowly touch the side of these round pilings with no grip, and you're just slowly starting to go, oh my goodness, and then you start to slowly turn, and now you're almost facing down, and was going about the 45-degree mark, and then I felt a pop. And I was out of my body. I went into what they call the void. I was in, like, if you could imagine a warm sleeping bag down as your kids, you go down into that warm end of the sleeping bag and you just settle down. That's what I felt, what it was like. And I was just in there. Just pure conscious, no body, just there, just warmth, and just don't know how long I was there for. And as they talk about it, all of a sudden it was just like a lightning bolt struck, where all of a sudden it just split open like a tear of the night. And I saw like the light, went through. But then I found myself on a gravel path in a tree grove. Very tight tree grove. And just walking down this path, well, not say walking, but going down this path, just again, nobody. And I was led out. And so didn't realize I was on the side of a mountain, or being led out to a ledge. And, you're going to some cultures, they call it the death ledge, or the, your ledge of precipitation, or how do you say that, where it's the end thing. You're looking out at everything. I'm looking at a mountain valley, just all around me. And below me, there's 3 levels. So I'm at the precipice. I'm looking down, and there's thousands of beings. I'll say what they are. Some look like they're fighting. I don't know. Some people look like they're maybe sparring. Other people are doing other things, but there was a massive beings down below. And then to the second level was the most gorgeous, golden, bright, rectangle portal. Stargate, whatever you want to say, it was right there in front, and mountains behind, but you're looking at this gate. And I've had several pictures that have come out in the world that I have manifest physically, that I saw what I saw, and there's these pictures that someone had made of it. It was like, oh wow. And then there was a third tier even higher, and there was a city building that looked like the Greek building, the Parthenon. And stood up again. Some people call it the halls of knowledge, or the halls, Turtle Halls, a library, or something like that. So I was seeing all this part, and just gorgeous, very vivid colors. But then, I'm past hang glider pilot. I don't know what it was. It felt comfortable. I just glided down into this green field that was alongside all of these levels. I don't know if they talk about, I forget what the name of the fields are, but the most luscious green fields, just lay in the grass. And I just laid comfortably down there, and I felt like I was being recharged. And the love, the light texture in there, people talk about the light. To me, that love and light was together. There, it was like a 6-inch gelatin wrapping around my consciousness. Like I was like an eyeball, and I was being wrapped with this electronic love energy that had weight and texture. And it's like the love of a child times a million. It's basically indescribable. But but I call it liquid love. It just how it wraps you. And so I just was like being charged there. I was looking through the grass, looking at the individual cells moving around. So I was looking at the microcellular level. Just again, that all-knowing knowledge, all parts. You're just seeing all the things developing. And then as I was in there, and again, time, I had no idea how long. I just felt like I was being recharged. I was given some, extra help or whatever, or all my experiences. I was just resting there, but I felt like I shouldn't be here. Something happened. And then at that same time, I looked through the grass, and this silver mist comes through the grass. And then as it approaches me, out comes 7 light beings. Tall, maybe say about 7 some foot plus, bright, shiny ones. And I've talked to later on a few other people who have experienced this. They call them the ancient ones. To me, and from what my understanding now is, they're either either cosmic beings like Elohim or possible ascended masters, but they're also known as the shiny ones. And they're the brilliant light. Just brilliant, brightest white, bluish light coming at me, but in human form, but more spindly type. I don't know how long I was with them. I don't know what we talked about, but it's where I felt them then place me. I went with them for a second, and they placed me in this tube, felt like a straw. And all of a sudden, feet first, but on my, would be my belly, I'm looking up at them. And especially the tallest being is dead center. And all of a sudden, if you ever seen the movies, Thor, and when he's in that rainbow vortex going up and down, that's what I was in. But I was in like a short straw of it. And I was going feet first down, still looking at this light being going down, going, oh no, like flushed. And what a ride. But as I'm going down, I'm still can barely see that being, but I'm going on further down. Again, I'm pure consciousness, no body, but all of a sudden the right side of my face closed up, and I started feeling the pain come into the body. Terrible pain, just excruciating. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm just, you go from that sheer absolute bliss, the peace, the love, everything else that you had there. We're again, sheer peace or sheer bliss. And then come to this where pain and loss of sight, and then I fused. This is not where you wake up from a dream and you go, okay, I just had a dream. Fused into my body. It was rough. I just came in, and then as I came to, I'm starting to look around with my left eye, and I could see some of my coworkers all around me, and they're all freaking out that I'm alive. And then I'm laying on the floor of the office, which I'm 75 yards away from where this accident happened. And they picked me up while I'm dead weight. I'm 260 at the time. And they carried me. I felt all of a sudden a screaming pain in my left side, in my shoulder area. but they put me into a car and drove me to a hospital. And I can go on about our negative things, what happened beyond that. But unfortunately, I had blood pour in my nose. I come to find out that my whole right eye had been shattered, so 3/4 of my face was broken. So I had died from severe trauma. I had my left shoulder. We didn't find this out till 6 months later, when after all my other intense stuff here with my face, that my left pectoral major had been severed from my shoulder, and for 6 months I was living with that, and how that had somewhat recovered. It was weird, and then I had to have shoulder surgery, and I've had 9 root canals from all the destruction from my face. I mean, I had for the longest time my face was in a brace, teeth. So, quite some new experiences. And then to come back from that, I was literally, I can remember, I got transferred to Harborview, which is one of the top hospital in the city, and it was that full moon effect where the hospital was full, everything was going nuts, there wasn't any rooms, so I was put like into a little corner area with a little bit of a block area, and I remember just laying there, and I wasn't taking the amount of medication that I was supposed to be taking, supposed to their standards, to the degree of what I was suffering or had from. I had another woman who came in who was her husband or boyfriend had taken a baseball bat to her face and smashed her up, and she's screaming and crying. And I'm hearing the nurse and them trying to calm her down, saying, "Ma'am, please be quiet. There's a gentleman next to you who's 10 times worse." And I had a guy who literally came up to me and, he said, "Man, you're a badass. You're not crying. You're not doing anything. You're just," and how do you tell them that you are still connected to that love, that because of that connection, I wasn't feeling the pain. I could still feel that love from the other side. And I've had another weird experience where several months later after my accident, I was having to drive and I was going to a place to get some composting worms for a little garden that I just started just to keep myself going. I had a gentleman, I swear it looked like Saint Germain, came over to me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You're connected." And talk about some other stories led on in life after this event, but it's where, holy cow, yeah. I mean, it was amazing. So, I can tell from my experience to people going, no, we do not die. I mean, it was painless. I was brought out. People say that either on a set of master, someone took me from my body, because I never experienced the colliding to that ladder. I struck that steel ladder, my body did, as it struck the steel floor of that barge. So, and I'd take a note back. When they put me into that car, I happened to look wearily at my watch again with my left eye, and it was now 1:35. And my buddies who were with me said before that I wasn't breathing. I had no heart. I was gone. They had literally brought a flat, when they picked up my body off the barge, they put it onto a large flat and brought a loader over, put my body on there, and brought me over to the office. So, I mean, I came back. I didn't have medical resuscitation. I didn't have the other things that a lot of other NDers experience with. I was still brought back, though. So, but it was quite an interesting experience.